Hi, I'm Jack, and my game isn't scary. And it wouldn't be an issue if I were making a visual novel or some shit, but it's a horror game, so, you know, it kinda should be. At least, a little. And I have two things to say about that. The positive is we're missing pretty much just two things. Feeling threatened and getting immersed. Now the negative is, that's just about all you need to make a game scary. Well, shit. So, I made the game harder. Probably way harder than needs to be. Now, for all of you that don't know what the game is about, you're basically stuck in a building with a monster. Men's everyday life, everybody, am I right? You know, the monster, and yeah. Sorry. To leave, you have to charge the reactor and leave when it's done. To charge the reactor, we have to keep the generators running and the levers up. And there's also buttons. Essentially, just to make shit harder. And anything more than that is just not important for you to know right now. Okay, so before we get to making the game harder, let me introduce you to a tiny little lighting issue I had. If you used Unity or heard anyone talk about it, you probably know there are different render pipelines. And in the last video, I was using the Universal Render Pipeline, or URP for short. And that itself is not an issue until you try to place some lights and it turns out you don't. URP, if I were to use some nice words to explain it, kindly rejects your lighting offer and is like, oh, that would be a shame if the first light you placed disappeared, wouldn't it? Oh, whoops, it did. Oh, guess you shouldn't add any more then. But fuck you, man, I need more. So I baked the lighting, which had approximately 147 problems. If you want to know more about that, you can watch my previous video, but the issue I didn't know how to solve was shadows, because baked lighting doesn't cast shadows. It's kind of like wanting a paint on a wall to cast shadows on itself. It doesn't really work that way. And I'm telling you that because now I had to make a choice. Do I keep the URP version of the game and solve those kind of issues, which unfortunately happen fairly often in my case, or just switch the render pipeline? Because it turns out that high-definition render pipeline doesn't give a shit about the light count. You can have 1, 10, or 6,000,000,000 lights, it just handles it. It actually probably wouldn't handle, you know, 6,000,000,000, but I'm using like 12, so that's fine. Okay, so to make a decision, I made a new HDRP project and copied everything from my current version. And as expected, it has less FPS. Way less FPS. So I was thinking, well, it really is stupid to use real-time lights. But you know what? I also, just in case, checked whether it's actually the light's fault, so I disabled them. All of them. And it wasn't. It had pretty much the same FPS as with them on. Wow. Okay. So it turns out that HDRP is just itself miles less efficient, but makes it much easier to do exactly what I want to be doing. Which, if translated to normal speech, means more fun for me, less fun for the player. Alright. Now, that's a trade-off I'm willing to make. So, yeah, I officially switched to HDRP, so now I have shadows and normal lighting. It also has some cool stuff that I'm never going to use, but I could if I wanted. And at this point, I became obsessed with FPS for like 2 days. For 2 days, because I never stick with anything for more than 2 days, I'm like a child. Just bigger. Anyway, I started changing settings to optimize the shit out of the game, and after a bit of time, I had a revelation. My flashlight sucks. Whenever I turn it on, the FPS just fucking dies. I mean, drops by like 100, which is not optimal if you've played any game. And it turns out that the problem is that the spotlight, which is a little cone, the light that I'm using for the flashlight, is just way less efficient than the area light, aka the light that I'm using for lighting the scene, the ceiling light. I don't know why that is and whether I fucked something up or not, but that's the conclusion I got. So I changed the flashlight into a light sphere. An obvious choice if you ask me. The plan was that I'll change it into a lamp later. I'll keep the shiny ball for now though. By the way, the flashlight doesn't work that well with our world anyway. And while on the topic of making stuff look like it actually could happen, people don't usually slide when moving. Most people I know walk, which makes the head go up and down while taking steps. And I kinda wanted our player to be like most people. You know, so that everyone could immerse themselves fully while playing this masterpiece. And also because immersion is number 2 on our scariness list. So I added head bobbing. It's pretty cool. Now, if I were to show you my game, would you be scared? The answer is probably yes, it's fucking terrifying. But not terrifying enough for a horror game veteran like me. And I know, you may be screaming and crying,
please don't make it scary, I can't watch it anymore.
Listen, we're here to make the most disgustingly unnerving experience possible. And the current issue is, it's pretty damn quiet. A quiet place, if you will. So I added some sound and music. Here, I want to add a big disclaimer. I want to do everything myself, including sound design and music, but I wanted to focus on something else in the video. So I downloaded some music and sound effects from Pixabay and put them in the game as a placeholder. It's hard to feel scared when you can just look away and not give a shit, so I felt like it's necessary. So yeah, that will be changed in the future, but I wanted to be able to see if it actually could scare someone. And now to the scary topics. Dying. Right now, if we die, it's pretty underwhelming. Yeah, I hear that a lot too, don't worry too much. I'll change that though, and I'll do the jump scare. Man, don't laugh at me, okay? It's not that scary, I get it, but you don't have to be such a dick about it. That's again a placeholder for what I'm going to add in the future, but for now, that's how it looks. Now, I want to show you something. Look at my code. Yeah, I kind of did a little thing where I kind of didn't separate anything in the code, and it kind of spiraled out of control, and now I kind of have a problem with adding new stuff. Or fixing existing stuff. Like that. Where the fuck did the ceiling go? And don't even get me started on where the fuck did the floor go? And just in case you wanted to ask, no, I didn't fix it. I have no clue what could cause that, but fortunately I have a pretty good solution to those kind of problems. I'll give it to the future me. Right now I've got some more important stuff to fix. Like my ball being squashed when you crouch. The shiny one, just so we're on the same page. I mean, alright, it's not that important, but it was annoying as hell, so I fixed it. Only that though. Fuck the ceiling and the floor. It doesn't happen that often anyway, so it doesn't matter. What matters though is we are now focusing on the most important changes in the update, making the game a tad more difficult. By that I mean literal fucking hell. So first I added a difficulty setting. I mean, by saying setting I kinda lied because we have no settings, but you can select difficulty from 0 to 3 in the code. 0 is easy, 1 is normal, the way the game was intended to be played, then 2 is pretty hard, and 3 is just because I'm guessing there could be someone that hates having fun playing games, so I added it as well. It mostly affects how the monster behaves and how quickly it moves. With normal difficulty, it runs as fast as we are while chasing us, and it's a little slower when it's not chasing, because it doesn't have to run all the damn time. That would be crazy. Crazy? That was crazy once. I also made the monster have a chance to interact with the objects instead of always doing that. It's a bit more fun now. That doesn't make the game harder per se, but more realistic, I guess. Maybe not, but I can control that with difficulty. But back to making everyone's life miserable. While playing the game, you may be thinking,
Oh man, it really is convenient that I can see the stamina and charge bar right on the screen so I can, properly plan the game.
wait. What'd you fucking say?
It's just convenient that...
Oh, no. So now stamina is displayed by making the screen darker, which is not only harder to monitor and plan, but also makes it harder to move around when running. And the charge bar, the green fella, I made a physical reactor that has a panel. On that panel, we have a display, which displays the battery charge, which is absolutely not convenient. Exactly the way I like it. Perfect. By the way, for the new people in there, the generators charge the reactor, the green bar shows how high the charge percent is. When it's fully charged, we win. So having it not on the screen makes it much harder to plan the route and what to do, which is awesome. After a glorious victory in the convenience department, I was playing around with the HDRP settings and found the depth of field, which looks incredibly good. So I added it, and now everything is blurry if we're close to it. Or far from it, because the whole point is that there is a depth at which we see well, and a depth at which we see less well. Depth is a stupid word for a distance, by the way, but whatever. Was it necessary at this point? No. Do I give a shit? Guess. Then I was playing the game a bit, and there was a pretty damn fucking infuriating thing. The dark rooms are, well, too dark. It wouldn't really be an issue, that's what the lamp is for, but as some of you may know, when you enter a locker, the lamp turns off. It would be pretty unrealistic to hide with a lamp on. By unrealistic, I mean fucking dumb. You hide to hide, not to be easily found and unable to run. But what it does is it also makes you have no clue where you are when you enter the locker, or whether you were still inside. So, after a bit of thinking, I added a fog. The fog makes you see the contours of everything, so now you can see where the locker door is and when you're inside, or outside. You can, unfortunately, also see the monster silhouette from pretty far, but I couldn't figure anything out. It's still much better with it than without it anyway. So. And at this point I thought to myself, why is the map we have interactive, meaning it shows what breaks in real time, and yet I insisted on being a paper map? These two kind of, exclude each other. So I changed the map to be a screen instead. I added a little copper outline and made it emit light, and bam! Pretty cool. What's not pretty cool is lockers. Lockers working, to be specific. Which is fucking convenient! Again! I added a couple more than we needed to survive, and now it's too easy. And I won't allow that. So I smooshed the door a bit and made some not work. You can tell it doesn't work by the lack of copper outline around the door. And I guess also the fact that the door is inside it. A little hint that it might be unusable. Alright, the copper outline situation might have been an accident. I didn't know that after I joined the objects in Blender, it won't allow me to change the materials for each part separately. In my defense though, I think Unreal Engine allows you to do so. Not that I used Unreal Engine for more than 3 seconds, so I don't think I made a point, but yeah. And I might be wrong as well. Anyway, now the copper outline is steel. In the broken ones, that is. And I didn't feel like smooshing it again without joining, because it would take like 5 more minutes, so I left it that way. And now I also added a lamp model, because I promised I'd do it. Crazy. Crazy? That was crazy. Now, one of my favorite ideas started coming together. Sanity. So, I was playing the game and everything was pretty cool, but the game is still pretty easy if you just stay in the locker forever. Which, unfortunately, doesn't translate into a scary gameplay. So, I wanted to give some kind of penalty for hiding for too long. And here we go. I added a little backstory to our character, and now he has claustrophobia. Meaning He's scared of tight spaces, which might or might not mean that he will behave differently around your mama. Oh my god, sorry. Who the fuck said that? Anyway, I meant tight spaces like, I don't know, a locker? Woohoo, wait, what a coincidence. So, now when we're inside a locker, we're losing sanity, and there's a couple of things it changes. Overall, makes the game look creepier and increases the stamina drain when we're inside for too long. And the thing you're probably more interested in, there will be jump scares with lower sanity. Not yet though, I don't want to animate today. But yeah, the game is darker, so that itself makes it way harder to walk around after leaving. And you may be thinking, holy fucking shit, that sounds pretty cruel. Well, just wait till I finish. I was annoyed that, if anything, sanity just makes it harder to leave the locker. So, as the mage that I am, I channeled the annoyance and gave it to the player. Reactor can now overheat if it's being charged for 60 seconds straight. And so if that happens, it doesn't charge anymore. Now we have to get to the reactor, reboot it, and it'll start working after that. And these two things solve the hiding problem, which is good. What's not good is the way winning works currently. You just walk around and suddenly you win, which is not realistic, by the way. So what I did is made it harder than it needs to be. Silly me. So now, after the reactor is charged, we need to get to it and press the panel. That initiates a 15-second countdown, during which we have to go to the exit and press the panel here. If we don't, we fucking die. And that's pretty much all the changes for today. I'd like to say here that I have a nearly unstoppable urge to tell you guys everything, but I can't because I don't want to spoil the story too much. And I love making those videos, so I hope I just don't say too much. And by the way, thank you guys for the support. I read all the comments and I'm super grateful for everything. Anyways, if you're still here and liked the video, I highly recommend subbing to the channel and pressing the small thumb up icon right there. I really hope you click it for your own good. Yeah, so that's it. Have a nice day and hopefully see ya.